So what is this 25-1 rule that I see here?
So basically, incorporating not only the design of the business model is that we don't want to get separation of wealth, and people that come on board is we want to make sure that they value on kind of shaping and changing the world. So if you look at the average employee, what is their wages compared to the CEO? In many cases, and there's individuals that get 2,500 times more than the average wage, and I just think that there's a lost connection there from the people that really do the heavy lifting, and to me and you see that in Wall Street today. And I was like, well, let's just nip it in the bud, and anybody doesn't me or anybody is we all rise and we fall together. I mean, what other better mission plan can you have for that?
Absolutely. And then I know that while Garage Guys is not a nonprofit,
Correct.
you want to partner with nonprofits. Why is that so important?
Correct. Well, I think that back to the unity is that working with nonprofits that have a well-designed program to reach out to their disabilities, or be it mentally or physically, and restore cars, do different raffles, and have different events there to accommodate. Initially, I was kind of mixed feelings of how I'm going to create Garage Guys, be it nonprofit or not, and it came down to what was the easiest way to get established. And I've seen nonprofits that haven't been sustainable. They last for a short period of time, or not all the funds go towards their direct mission, as you well know. And then I've seen large corporations that's done a lot for different establishments and taking care of their employees. So it just came to, I was like, well, it doesn't matter if you're an LLC or nonprofit. It has to do with trust, and I think that that's missing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope is to incorporate that and build trust and with an employee base and everybody, that we are very open and transparent, that this is what we're doing and this is how we're going to help shape the world.
Right. Now, Anthony, I mean, I'm a pretty good planner, and again, I attribute that to having a child with Asperger's, because for those of you that don't know, if you say you're going to the bank, McDonald's, and the grocery store, you better go to the bank, McDonald's, and grocery store. Don't mess up the order, because it can mean meltdown. So you kind of learn, and you get super good at organization, which
Correct.
I never had a problem with, but I'm like, the poster child for organization now. Lots of things in this, customer and employee safety, marketing. How do you keep this all together? Do you have a board, or do you?
I mean, we have a team and we all interact together, and each one of them has their own story of challenged individuals too. So they're all volunteers like myself, and we're looking at the design back to. It's not an afterthought, like you mentioned. It's about standardization and volume. We're only going to have like 5 different choices of food in the water park. Hamburgers, hot dogs, things at low volume. Probably won't be the healthiest thing sometimes, but hey, you're not going to go there.
They taste better outside anyway.
Yeah, so and
I don't want a salad when I'm watching the Rangers.
No,
that just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So I also don't need a 98-foot hot dog either that they sell down there. But
yeah, and also back to overly priced, and I want to have that standardization and more about volume, and it doesn't have to be rocket science. I mean, you can go up to from Oklahoma base, and it's called Ishans, and they have like 3 or 4 things on the menu, and they're packed. I mean, they go through 1,100 chickens on a weekend.
Right.
So it's taking what you're good at and high volume and selling that product. We'll also kind of reach out to other establishments to have, because you'll kind of see the United States, the full-on racetrack, which is, a designated racetrack year-round, but everybody will get to drive on it, fill the embankments, and when you go along and see the Golden Gate Bridge made out of car part art, and kind of take pictures of it, and there won't be no charges for that.
Right.
We'll also have partnered with other different restaurants there to have like that San Francisco feel, where you'll have the lean cuisine of their food,
Right.
Be it whatever type of establishment we designate.
Right.
And
Wonderful seafood or Ghirardelli chocolate or something like
so
that.
Just 1 or 2 things
Right.
there that's consistent. So it'd be very difficult to go in and have a smorgasbord, especially
Right.
for challenged individuals. And really for you go to these establishments, maybe it's just me being biased with steak and potatoes, but it's just get the biggest bang for your buck and excellent food from that standpoint.
Right.
And it's be something for anybody and everybody.
Right. I love that idea. I really do, because like I said when we were talking in the break, I think we've made our lives a lot more complicated nowadays. And not that believe me, there's tons of moving parts with this project, but this sounds like just good, wholesome, for not to sound too Mayberry-ish here, fun though, that you can enjoy, with a bigger purpose in giving people with disabilities sustainable, gainful employment. I mean, it's like win, 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 win,
Yes.
all over the place.
It takes a while for everybody to kind of envision what it is, and that's kind of a challenge of kind of coordinating. One of the things I like to tell them is that every business model that we're mentioning exists today, standalone. What we're doing is incorporating it, putting it under one umbrella, and creating synergy amongst them. And the next thing is that we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just making it cheaper, lighter touch, and with a touch of style. And that's kind of the different things of process, and it's very common sense. I mean, you don't need a whole bunch of research, to go out there and what works and what doesn't. I mean, especially now with social media, and they get to help design it and interact with it. So that's that's the beauty of it. And as I mentioned, is you have the industrial world too, as we're looking at manufacturing and restorations, and even looking at purchasing a car dealership. So and having kind of like garage guy bucks, people that trade in their cars or donate the cars, they can get garage guy bucks and have a good vacation, which it has more value to us because we can refurbish it and put it out in a different market and kind of have that wholesome kind of marketplace setting.
Right. I'm just blown away by the thought and all this. When did this start? This was like 2 years ago?
Yeah, about
you said?
2 years ago. And remind you, like I said, I just didn't wake up and say, hey, this is what we need.
Right, right. But
I don't know if I've said this, the great idea is shaped by many. And each person has had different, there's a story between every business model and how it incorporated. The reason the Formula One racetrack is shaped like the United States, one is the positioning of it and you're able to section off the different business units. But originally, this is Kevin Bartley's too, Bartles. He was flying back from Houston, and I was like, well, what kind of racetrack are we going to design? What's the layout? And this is kind of new territory because it's a learning curve and reaching learning curve.
Right.
And he said, well, why not the shape of Texas? And I was like, well, shoot, why not the shape of the United States? Because I was trying to incorporate art, and back to I mentioned, I'm just happy as when I'm wrong as when I'm right. And we take these different concepts and we mull it over, and we let we don't hold it personal. With each different group, what we go with, and we just have a community and we move forward.
Well, it's a true collaboration. Obviously, it has to be with something this big, and it's very selfless when you can sit there and go, you know what, I was so passionate about this position, but when I hear this one, that really might be better. I mean, that's very grown up, very mature.
Yeah, I don't want to grow up too much,
Yeah,
I still want to do the go-karts,
Yeah, well, you can't grow up too much with this. Well, I guess my other questions would be, we talked a little bit too about, you said you want to add art to this.
Correct.
From jewelry to actual art pieces. So
yeah, it's an array of things. Because back to like my wife, I mean, she's not too overly enthusiastic with cars, especially when I mess up the garage and restore and stuff. So, but when you're having different landscapes, and for the Golden Gate Bridge made out of car part art, or envision the Rocky Mountains where it's 100 feet tall of engine blocks, and then you have the Grand Canyon, or even on back to the Rocky Mountains where the top has aluminum, where you kind of have the snow peak kind of feel. To have that art, laid out, and art doesn't have to be overly expensive. And how do you connect with that? It doesn't have to be, plastic and molded and kind of a craftsman type of feeling. We also designed what I call the marketplace, and I want to connect with the community as much as possible. And I want to connect also the corporate world too. I mean, it's a place for all of us to come together and find a win-win situation. But the walkways, because it's just so big, we have these walkways, and I just want to have these empty space. I was like, well, how do I make it a little different? So we designed where we have like this marketplace where it has car garages. So it's kind of like a townhouse. The entrepreneur could be upstairs, and downstairs they'd sell their product. And people that make wallets or knives or reconditioned violins, and the craftsman type of approach. And plus, we can also, people that want to do their own business, talk shows, so you could actually have a section there
there we go.
where everybody walks around and have
Right.
a different view. So instead of the Texas Stadium, you can have a big racer, Statue of Liberty made out of card arts.
Right.
And a lot of different green space. So be it even produce, people that come in and get their produce and shop for there while their kids are at the water park.
Right.
And that's, you want to have your biggest bang for your buck and make it enjoyable at the same time.
Right, absolutely. I love that idea. I know when we traveled to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there is Sirius XM's, DJ that broadcasts right there from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You go to Graceland, and there is the Elvis channel. So I find that unique. But what I think is lacking in the bigger parks, again, we won't mention their names, is it's just so commercialized now. I mean, you can't just get something small. It's not even made in the United States half the time, and it's very.
They're disconnected.
Commercialized.
Yeah,
disconnected.
It's disconnected. There's a gap there, and everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to take that common sense and share with other individuals, these different ideas and concepts and how you bridge that in.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've been working with the local community and making sure that we come in, we're going to design this, and our initiatives just kind of move forward with crowdfunding. So everything's designed from the ground up. I believe innovation is built in a garage, by garage guys, and guys is just a whole bunch of team per se.
Right.
Of course, all the ladies ask me, what about the the girls,
the gals,
the gals. I'm like, well, did you know that women are better racers, drivers? And so that's kind of my comment on that regards. So
look at the phone start ringing.
Oh yeah, I'm in trouble now. So that's statistically. I don't want to go by my profession too much, but that's the interaction part of it, and and nowadays, not only the art, but driving a go-kart, everybody can kind of do that, and everything's designed to make it where you want to come back, and that you're not feeling like you're walking away and just being robbed.
Right.
And it's kind of like walking through a store and you have all that candy right at the front before you check out. We won't do things like that.
Right.
It's just too cheesy. Another thing is there's a lot of green space. So if you look at other different events, what we'll partner with the community, be it us.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Do you envision any concerts or community events in this, or
very much so?
Yeah.
We have over 26 different business revenue streams just internally, but at the same time, we look at having concert venues, kind of like an amphitheater, kind of old school. We have like the drive-in movie theater setting. Not only can we have car shows, but we can have concerts, and looking at the Jerry Jones world.
Right.
You look at the masterpiece that he's built.
With the Victoria's Secret in there.
Yeah. I don't know how I do that.
Win-win. Yeah.
So it has many different, they have monster truck shows. They have, concerts in there. And that's the kind of venues that would have to set in there.
Right.
And
well, I just, you keep going back to saying, I don't think cars really run true for everyone. But I can tell you, I know that when the State Fair of Texas is running, one of the number one events is the car show in the hall. Kids of all ages. They can sit in it. They can take pictures in it. You bring your dad if they have the older car shows, and antique car shows too.
Yes.
That always catches an eye. Oh, look at that over there. What's that?
And maybe I'm just too caught up in the automotive world, but that's what I think everybody kind of relate to it one way or another. We came up with the hotel theme with multiple different type of rooms. We have like over 100 ideas. I'm like, wow, we had to start cutting off, going, from the Batman room to the Tron room to the the Scooby-Doo room.
Yep. Don't forget the Knight Rider room.
Yeah, don't forget the Knight Rider.
So put that down. That was my contribution.
Yeah, I got it on there. The Beverly Hillbillies, and it just kind of cascaded into so many different possibilities, and it's amazing. And I'm not going to mention who this was, but I went to this hotel and also has a water park there, and I go there to stay there, and needless to say, we were supposed to get upgraded to this log cabin room, and it's like $500 a night, and I'm like, what? Okay, gee whiz. So it's kind of like a vacation, big time. And we get upgraded this room, and I was expecting, something very nice, but I go in there and it's like slats of wood glued to sheetrock. And I'm like, $500 a night, really? And I was like, this is crazy. So, it's nothing to write home about.
Right.
And
not exactly what you were thinking.
no,
Yeah.
I was, kind of disappointed from that perspective, but it was amazing how many people were involved, and I mean, we didn't get out of there. I mean, it was expensive, weekend, and not everybody can do that.
Yeah, we talked about that too. I have 2 children. I don't see how families that have more than 2, go to a ball game, even go to a movie when it's not the matinee.
Yeah.
Can be expensive, for tickets, popcorn, drinks, candy. That's when you sneak it in your purse. Sorry, I said it. But, I mean, it's amazing the cost nowadays of how families can do this. And I just think this is a wonderful project. So where are you right now? You're at the start line.
Yeah,
with this,
we're
right?
just past the napkin stage. So
Okay.
now we're just now reaching out.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's the best way to kind of,
Okay.
pass it along. And it may happen, in 2 years or 5 years. And we haven't put a very strict timetable on it because there is so many different moving parts. But at the same time, we're looking at, well, how do we take the next step? We've done a great job of teeing everything up from, working with the community, making sure that, we come along, we raise this funds, can we put it here? We've got the design from the builders and actual quotes on the cost. And it's kind of amazing because working with all these subject matter experts and and seeing them just blossom and make something just so beautiful is what I enjoy, and it's really shaped to a destination with a purpose. And we should back to kind of be here in Dallas. If people fly in, where do they go? I mean, hey, do we take them to Six Flags? Do we do this? And I think that it's the next level of having an international destination here.
Absolutely. But think of all the sponsorship opportunities you have. Like you said, you got Michelin, Bridgestone, Napa,
Yep.
NASCAR itself. You've got the Speedway right up here.
Correct.
Pirelli. I mean, I'm pretty good here, aren't
Yeah,
I?
you're doing very good.
You're doing really good, aren't I? But you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's...
Yeah, and we have, not only the tax grants and the tax advantages, and we've kind of put that off aside, but the sponsorship is just partnering with, larger corporate organizations, like Michelin, the Michelin Man. So imagine your kids, they will go in and jump on a Michelin bounce house, and it doesn't cost you anything else. And plus you team up with the Boy Scouts, and you have pine car racing. And, you want to have
Fun.
a destination where you just don't, it's just not you go there and you spend $150 for one day. It doesn't make sense. And
Right.
and we're looking at having conference areas and space to set up and do multiple different activities. Back to kind of the green space is that I remember driving along and my daughter wanted to go to the horse show, and they had this big parade up in Frisco. I don't know what was the name of it, but it was like $200 a ticket. And I was like, what? To me, I'd rather have the open green space, and they could stay in the hotel for different costs and not charge them anything for that green space and have
Right.
these different venues. I think that's one of the key connections is, lower that cost down and have a better mousetrap to kind of work with your colleagues.
Right, more will come. You'll get it in volume if more can afford versus the ones that can't.
Correct.
I mean, don't take a genius to figure that out. And math was not my biggest thing. That's why I'm in broadcasting. But I see where you're going with it. So you're raising funds?
Yes. So we're just now starting the outreach program. So I mean,
Okay.
this is my first interview with you, Ellen. So I appreciate that. And we're connecting with individuals to kind of get the word out. We're just now start doing our website. We got our Facebook, so please visit there. We have our promotional video, which kind of gives a good depiction of firsthand.
It's a great video, yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I actually had Jagger do the voiceover, so that was great. He did a wonderful job, and it kind of gives you a good depiction of touch and feel of what the excitement part is. It doesn't kind of get into the technical sides, the industrial side, but it kind of gives you, hey, that's a place I want to be at.
Right.
On those regards. So we've reached out to Indiegogo. They're the largest crowdfunder in the world. We're actually going to name our Formula One racetrack Indiegogo Raceway, kind of commemorate, the crowd. And it's a whole nother world now. It's really, in the past you had to do all these surveys and research analysis, and they push it out and not successful. To me, is like we're reaching out to all our customer base, and before we even do any brick or mortar, they're shaping and designing it. So I think it is a new age today, and it's kind of amazing when I started kind of moving forward with this project. Is first this person, well, you need to talk to this person first. Well, you need to talk to this person. I was like, where do I begin?
Right.
So and now it's just, hey, just get everybody in the room and then start shaping it out.
And when you just said brick and mortar, I got to thinking, the Brickyard 500 and the bricks and all that. People could, do bricks there and write that down. Write it down. You're writing it down.
I'm actually a little bit ahead of you on that.
Oh man, I thought I had another one.
Yeah, so that's actually part of the building the foundation. Is you have your name, you put your brick, and you want something to be a part of, and also organizations too, so they can have their logo and say, hey, we're a part of this.
Absolutely.
It's not just one. And Garage Guys means that we're all just teaming together to make a difference.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I want you to come back and keep us, informed of how this is going, and where can people look to maybe make a donation or to help?
Yeah, well, I'll be reaching out, and we'll probably have another show to kind of get more specifics. And before we launch our Indiegogo campaign, we're actually going to be giving away we're doing a Like to Win program for a 1966 Datsun.
Ah.
Yeah, so we're teaming up with My Possibility and also Dylan. So, and we're restoring this car, and they get a chance to kind of spread the word of what Garage Guys is, and it's just register, put your email, and like our website to kind of just build our customer base and what we're doing, and just moving forward from there.
Right. And for those of you that when he said Dylan, yes, that is the wonderful Dylan Rafferty, who we just found out today is going to Washington, D.C. So it's not Mr. Smith goes to Washington, it's Mr. Rafferty goes to Washington. I can't keep up with him.
Oh, no.
He's at the DSO. He's doing walks. He's out in Nevada, in Las Vegas, and now he's going to Washington.
Yeah, there's very few people that I walk up and interact with that, I'm like, hey, slow down.
Yeah, he's definitely one. He might have to be your pace car, and you wouldn't need the car. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, so.
But no, I think it's wonderful. I'm glad you came on, Anthony, and anything we can do to help, we'd love to do that.
Wonderful.
So from, one Aspie parent to another, I applaud any efforts in that, and, it's nice to see our